Quickly, before this video starts, I just want to say a massive thank you to the support shown on my recent videos of this series. It feels like a huge personal achievement to have a video that isn't a random Shadowplay compilation hit over 1,000 views and still keep growing. As a thank you, I'll be giving away some topical skins throughout the video, but I'll cover that more later on. In the meantime, Operation Breakout was the fourth operation for CSGO, following in the dumpster fire that was Operation Phoenix. Admittedly, this is one of the standout operations I've been really looking forward to covering, as it truly revolutionised the way operations would be structured going forwards. If Operation Bravo was the granddad of operations, this operation would be the father of all operations. Operation Breakout ran from July 1st, 2014 to October 2nd, 2014 and cost just $5.99 and brought with it a slew of changes to the game. First and foremost, there's a significant amount of balance changes that came bundled with this operation. The buy menu received significant changes allowing it to provide more useful information. The Deagle and Tech 9 received buffs to their accurate range, while the CZ75 saw nerfs to its accurate range. This was during the CZ75 meta, however, so this was likely done in an attempt to bring the gun more in line with the other pistols. Furthermore, the dualies saw a reduction in price, as did the SSG-08, dropping them to $500 and $1,700 respectively. The XM1014 also saw a price reduction down to $2,000, and all of the shotguns, apart from the Nova, saw changes to their wallbanging, making sure they could actually wallbang alongside overall changes to bullet penetration, as demonstrated by this cryptic image of an as of yet unseen map. The game also saw some much smaller quality of life updates, such as being the update that introduced pressing E on the bot to get it to drop the bomb, taking map fog into consideration when showing enemies on the radar, and now showing when a player has been saved or has saved another player. Competitive matches no longer allowed for matches with significant skill differences, i.e. silvers would never be queued against globals, regardless of what the search time was, and all the loading screens were updated, alongside a whole bunch of much smaller miscellaneous changes. Oh, and they did chicken coop to T-spawn of Inferno. Speaking of Inferno and maps as a whole, they also got quite the shake-up. Maps were now split into three categories: the active duty maps, the reserve maps, and the operation maps. The active duty maps were to be the official competitive maps, the maps that pros would play at the majors, and realistically what most people would be playing on, and this would change several times over the years, sometimes for the better, sometimes for worse. In this update, the active duty pool consisted of D-Dust 2, D-Nuke, D-Mirage, D-Inferno, D-Cobblestone, D-Overpass, and excitingly, D-Cache. That's right, D-Cache was a mainstay from this operation onwards, and it was no longer doomed to be brought back indefinitely with every operation, and now would have actual consistent pro play. This meant that in reserves was D-Train, D-Aztec, D-Dust, D-Vertigo, CS Office, CS Italy, CS Assault, and CS Militia. Finally, and most importantly for this operation, was the operation maps. Starting off with a bang though, was CS Insertion by Oskmos. Now, the insertion maps could have a whole video all to themselves, so I'll be very brief for this. Insertion had a gimmick that allowed you to essentially pick your spawn point, allowing you to mix up your strategy of getting the hostages every round. Furthermore, there was a very thick fog that blanketed the map, partly to keep frame rates high because this map was huge, but also for gameplay purposes. Honestly, I wish we had more maps like these in Counter-Strike, as I think it's a really good formula for hostage rescue. It may not be the most balanced, but it sure as hell beats crawling around through a wallbangable air duct in hopes of not getting shot or being forced down a long corridor to your death. The second hostage map was also rather unique, being CS Rush, created by Invalid Nick. It was a map that appears to be set somewhere in South America and features some rather unique gameplay. It resembles AR shoots if it was jacked up to 11 and hostage mode. The map plays almost entirely like an arms race match too, small enclosed space with one really long sightline being right down the river that runs from CT spawn all the way to T spawn, and where I imagine this map got its name from, as it's very easy for both CTs and Ts to rush straight into the other's spawn. The hostages are spawned randomly in these small huts around the place, and nearly the whole map is wallbangable apart from the obvious ground. Definitely a unique and varied map that again interestingly opens up the hostage maps instead of keeping them enclosed in tight spaces. The first diffuse map we'll cover is D Black Gold, made by AZ, Holiest Cow, The Horse Strangler, Terracotta, Blood, and Joe Swag. If there was an iconic map to represent this operation, it would be either Insertion or Black Gold. But personally, I think Black Gold takes it simply by being the more popular game mode. It's based on an oil rig somewhere in the ocean, and obviously, just like Vertigo, falling off the edge will be your death. The map is a striking yellow colour and features lots of bright colours, making it easy to pick out your enemies even at a distance. There's a lot of versatility to Black Gold too, as there's a significant amount of height, and most of it is accessible. It's a map that gives me strong Vertigo and Nuke vibes, and furthermore, it also features a good mixture of long-range angles, perfect for sniping, mid-range angles for rifling, which I think personally is held in a lot of the vertical combat, and finally, shotguns and SMGs are very viable around all the different shipping containers and the all-important bomb sites. A solid fan favourite, and it's very easy to see why. The next map, Demist, is yet again made by Invalid Nick, and it's very similar to Black Gold, and yet oh so different. The map takes place at a radar station in the mountains of Sweden that features lots of verticality. There's a grand total of sweet fuck all long ranges, and the map heavily favours shotguns and SMG play. It's definitely a unique map. It feels like you're constantly fighting uphill, and that an enemy could be lurking around every corner, where one shotgun blast is enough to either wipe you out or do 11 in 1. D Castle is a map created by the well-known Jansel, but by this point in the game's life, Jansel had only worked on one other officially included map, D Alley. The map is set in Slovenia, but more specifically is based on the Pajama Castle. The map has a distinct cobblestone vibe. Both maps being set in a castle would do that already, but they both have quite close quarters combat inside the castle, and then more long-range sightlines towards the edges of the map. However, I like the detail of the surrounding area of the map, and then as soon as you get into the caves, it's honestly kind of mind-blowing. The cave is beautiful and interestingly opens up much more long-range combat. The surfaces are all uneven, and everything eventually connects up together, and you really do get a feel that you could get lost in this map. Another interesting point to mention is the fact that the map is set at night, typically not a setting for competitive maps as the visibility is not great, but with the caves being coloured white and the interior of the castle being very well lit, it all works. I'll admit, I have a soft spot for this map, but I can't really explain why. It's just a very impressive Source Engine map that I recommend you check out. 3Clicks Philip has also done a much more in-depth breakdown of this map, as he's actually visited the castle the map is based on, and you can find that video up here. Finally is D Overgrown by Psy, and honestly, I think this map gets a little overshadowed by the other maps included in this operation. The map is set in a shipyard and is covered with clutter. Overgrown has that distinct Source Engine vibe that I'm sure many of you understand. It's grimy, dingy, and overall quite grey. It's a heavily cluttered map too, with the B-bomb site and middle both being set in warehouses. The B-bomb site gives me strong assault or classic Source nuke vibes, as it just feels like on the T approach to B you could be shot from just about every angle. Furthermore, the map feels like there's areas that are ever so slightly off in scale. Areas that are just that little bit too tight, and some areas just feel a little bit uninspired. Take the direct CT route to B. This is the path from spawn. Luckily, there are secondary paths that you can take that spice up a little bit and take you to the more elevated areas, which does help mix up the CT side, but from what I can tell, I think the map is meant to push you more towards taking mid control and fighting for the mid warehouse, and then flanking the bomb sites. Still, a fun map that allows for very long range combat and tense close quarters combat, and not a bad map by any means. Oh, and the Deadly Water makes a return. Operation Breakout's coin progression also received a drastic overhaul compared to the previous operations. Where previous operations had required you to play for X amount of time on operation maps and went X amount of games to upgrade your coin, Breakout completely did away with that and added what is possibly the most impactful change to the operations of the future: the operation missions. The operation missions can take the form of anything from chicken kills to round wins on a certain map, and would reward you with a weapon from any of the 3 new weapon collections added, but more about them shortly. You would get the missions dropped like items at the end of a game and have a maximum of 2 missions active at any one time. Each mission completed added 1 point to your operation coin, and this was how you upgraded them. In order to get the bronze coin, all you needed to do was purchase the operation pass, which is still technically achievable today if you can get your hands on a pass, but you won't be able to upgrade it at all. In order to get silver, you'd have to finish 5 missions, and finally to achieve the maximum gold tier, you'd have to finish 15 missions. Upon buying the Operation Pass, you'd get your coin as standard, but you'd also receive an Operation Journal. This journal would keep track of a range of stats such as your rank, how many competitive match wins you'd achieved, your MVPs, kills, headshot percentage, multi-kills, and on top of all of that, it showed you your friends' stats as well. This meant you could compare any of those stats to your friends and filter top to bottom for either bragging rights or motivation. Upon Operation Breakout ending, these stats were stored on your coin itself, so checking someone's coin even today will show you all of their stats. Wrapping up the operation drops were, of course, the skins, and I have a variety of the ones from this operation to give away in the comments of this video. Just let me know what your favourite operation collection is, and leave your trade link. Giveaway skins will be marked with a green asterisk in the top left corner. This operation introduced 3 exclusive collections that were dropped after the completion of operation missions and a randomly dropping case for operation pass holders. Another collection started dropping during the time of this operation, so I'll cover that here too. Starting with the exclusive collections, we have the baggage collection, which included the following skins. In consumer grade, we have the CZ75 Auto Green Plaid, the G3SG1 Contractor, the MP7 Olive Plaid, the MP9 Green Plaid, and the SSG08 Sand Dune. Moving into industrial grade, we have the SG553 Traveller, P90 Leather, P2000 Coach Class, and the Mac-10 Commuter. In mil-spec, there's the USPS Business Class, Sawdorf First Class, and the XM1014 Red Leather. Penultimately in restricted is the Desert Eagle Pilot, and the AK-47 First Class. Finally, at the top of the baggage collection is the AK-47 Jet Set. Moving on to the Overpass Collection, at consumer grade we have the M249 Contrast Spray, the UMP45 Scorched, the Sawed-Off Sage Spray, the Mag7 Storm, and the MP9 Storm. Industrial grade sees the MP7 Gunsmoke, the P2000 Grassland, the Desert Eagle Urban DD-Pat, and the Glock 18 Knight. In mil-spec is the XM1014 Vari Camo Blue, the SSG08 Detour, and the CZ75 Auto Nitro. In restricted is just two skins, the USPS Road Rash, and the AWP Pink DD-Pat. Finally, topping off the Overpass collection is the M4A1S Masterpiece. And for the final initially released collection is the Cobblestone Collection, including what is quite possibly the most famous CSGO skin of all time. But before we get into that, we have the consumer grade skins, starting at the Dual Berettas Briar, the Scar 20 Storm, the UMP45 Indigo, the P90 Storm, and the Mac 10 Indigo. Moving up into industrial grade, we have the Sawed-Off Rust Coat, the Nova Green Apple, the Mag 7 Silver, and the USPS Royal Blue. In mil-spec is just two skins, the MP9 Dark Age and the P2000 Chainmail. Restricted sees the CZ75 Auto Chalice and the Desert Eagle Hand Cannon. Penultimately, we have just the M4A1S Knight in Classified. And finally, the world-famous AWP Dragonlaw in Covert. The Cash Collection was also released during the time of Operation Breakout, releasing on my birthday, August 13th, alongside the ESL Cologne 2014 update, and interestingly is why I collect Cologne iBuyPower stickers on all my guns. The skins included in the Cash Collection start at industrial grade and are the PP Bison Chemical Green, the Negev Nuclear Waste, the P250 Contamination, the SG553 Fallout Warning, the Org Radiation Hazard, and the 5.7 Hotshot. Moving into mil-spec, we have the XM1014 Bone Machine, the Mac 10 Nuclear Garden, the Tech 9 Toxic, the MP9 Setting Sun, and the Glock 18 Reactor. And finally, at the top tier of restricted, and wow, this collection is a weird one, is the FAMAS Sticks and the Galil AR Cerberus. Finally, we come to the Operation Case, dropped exclusively for Operation Pass holders until the conclusion of Operation Breakout, where the case became a drop available to everybody. Like all cases, it starts at mil-spec and has the MP7 Urban Hazard, the Negev Desert Strike, the UMP45 Labyrinth, the P2000 Ivory, and the SSG08 Abyss. Going up a tier into restricted has the CZ75 Auto Tigris, the PP Bison Osiris, the Nova Koi, and the P250 Supernova. Penultimately in classified we have the 5.7 Foul Play, the Desert Eagle Conspiracy, and the Glock 18 Water Elemental. Finally in covert we have the P90 Asimov and the ever popular M4A1S Cyrex. There was only one rare special item in this case, but it would go on to be one of the community's favourite knives of all time, the Butterfly Knife. It came in all the original knife finishes, being the Vanilla, Fade, Slaughter, Safari Mesh, Forest DD-Pat, Boreal Forest, Scorched, Urban Masked, Night, Crimson Web, Stained, Case Hardened, and Blue Steel. So, to wrap up, was Operation Breakout a good operation? Absolutely, without a doubt, this operation was everything a CSGO operation needed to be. It had good map diversity, it had a large collection of skins, it encouraged people to buy the pass, it had missions, it came with quality of life changes, map updates, it shook up the pro scene, and most importantly, raised the bar for what an operation could be. It took the groundwork that Operation Bravo had set out a year before and innovated on it and set the new baseline for what Operation should strive to achieve. I think the dividing of the map pool was a good idea, so you knew beforehand how popular a map was or was not, and with the Operation maps being classified together also helped you so you could play exclusively those maps if you so wished. I think treating the collection skins as rewards for playing the game was genius and helped encourage people to actually play the game in a new way, as I doubt they were going out of their way to get 35 kills with the Glock in casual mode before. It gave a goal, something to work towards, something to achieve, and it worked. Operation Mission's been a mainstay of the series ever since. For me personally, they're the things I look forward to the most with Operations, as the missions have only evolved and changed over time, and have the potential to be way more in-depth than just kill 10 chickens in deathmatch. I think the skin selection was brilliant, the Dragonlaw instantly became the most iconic gun in the game, and with the Butterfly Knife slowly becoming a fan favourite too, we got some higher quality skins for lesser used guns, such as the PP Bison Osiris, which was a step up in the skins quality compared to some of what we'd had prior. Ultimately, this operation was an overwhelming success, at least from a player point of view. Valve well and truly outdid themselves in this operation, and more than made up for the relative disappointment that was Operation Phoenix, which predated this operation. For all of these reasons, I give Operation Breakout an S tier. If you've enjoyed this brief look back at Operation Breakout, please consider subscribing so you don't miss any future Operation videos. And please, let me know in the comments, what was your favourite skin or map introduced in this update? Personally, my favourite skin introduced was the SSG-08 Detour, and my favourite map was Insertion. Don't forget to check out the rest of the videos in this series, and most importantly, thanks for watching.